How can you control the situation to prevent the other person from lying? How can you use monologues to persuade others? And how can you leverage psychological weaknesses to persuade? This episode reviews the book Get the Truth. Former CIA officers teach you how to persuade anyone to tell all by Philip Houston, Michael Floyd, and Susan Carnicero. The book is 170,000 words long, and I will use about 22 minutes to explain its essence. How to apply techniques from the CIA to enhance your persuasive power and obtain valuable information in daily life. Getting the truth is the central theme of this book. The authors are all former CIA officers experienced in intelligence gathering, interrogations, and lie detection. When people think of the CIA and interrogations, they often imagine torture. However, in real interrogations, that is not the standard method. In most cases, the person being interrogated voluntarily tells the truth. In other words, interrogations rely more on conversation techniques than physical force. So, how can you persuade someone to tell you the truth? That's what this episode is about. The book has 3 authors whom have worked for the CIA. The most experienced is Philip Houston, who worked for the CIA for 25 years and is recognized as an authority in lie detection and elicitation. Another author, Michael Floyd, holds a law degree from Seattle University and has conducted over 8,000 interviews and interrogations in his 35-year career. These authors have both theoretical knowledge and practical experience in intelligence gathering, lie detection, and elicitation. Now, these 5 individuals have founded a consulting company, and they wrote this book to share the thinking and persuasion methods of CIA experts to help you enhance your persuasive power and influence. Understanding the basic background of the book and its authors, let's dive into the detailed content, which I will divide into 2 parts. The first part discusses how to bring the other person into instantaneous thinking to persuade them to tell you the truth. The second part covers how to use people's psychological weaknesses to persuade them and how to enhance your persuasive power in group settings. Part 1. How to bring the other person into instantaneous thinking and persuade them to tell you the truth. Since we are discussing persuasion, let's first clarify what a persuasive conversation looks like. Many people think persuasion involves using your arguments to defeat the other person's arguments, making persuasion a rational and logical process. However, the authors argue that this understanding is wrong. Whether the other person is persuaded is up to them. Even if you are right and your points are correct, you cannot guarantee that you will persuade the other person. Compared to rationality, persuasion is more of an emotional process. Therefore, the key to persuasion is to respect and utilize the other person's autonomy, approaching from their perspective so that they willingly accept the viewpoint you want them to accept. You need to find ways to lower their psychological defenses. No one likes to feel coerced into agreement, so true persuasion turns, "I persuaded you," into, "You persuaded yourself." Now that we understand persuasion is an emotional process and that we need to consider the other person's perspective, how can we achieve this? The authors believe that to persuade the other person and get them to speak their mind, you need to bring them into instantaneous thinking. What is instantaneous thinking? Instantaneous thinking means setting up a scenario where the other person's rationality is bypassed, and they follow the path you designed to achieve your goal. It sounds complex, but creating a scenario for instantaneous thinking only requires 4 elements: single source information, repeated information, unclear goals, and delayed results. Let's break it down with an example. The book doesn't provide a specific case, so I'll give you an example from everyday life: TV shopping. You've probably seen TV shopping ads and might think they're silly. Do people really buy from them? In reality, these TV shopping ads are cleverly designed to capture the 4 elements of instantaneous thinking. Single source information. When people watch TV, the information flows one way. Viewers can't ask questions or challenge the information. At that moment, The TV ad is the only source of information, and viewers make decisions based on what the ad provides. This captures the first element of instantaneous thinking: single source information. Repeated information. Psychological experiments show that the more often you see something, the more likely you are to accept it, or at least consider it an option. TV shopping ads repeatedly show the product, using this principle to increase the likelihood of future purchases. Unclear goals. Few people watch TV with the intention of buying something. Because the goal isn't shopping, viewers are not in a shopping mindset and don't compare products. When watching TV shopping ads, the lack of a clear goal makes viewers more susceptible to the ad's influence. Delayed results. TV shopping ads continually emphasize reasons to buy and don't give you reasons not to buy. In that moment, you ignore reasons not to buy. As a result, you might place an order before you realize it. TV shopping captures the four elements of instantaneous thinking: single source information, repeated information, unclear goals, and delayed results. You might think these tactics are too complicated to use in everyday persuasion. Don't worry, the authors provide two methods that can bring someone into instantaneous thinking through conversation alone. These methods are conveying sincerity and using monologues. Conveying sincerity. Earlier, we mentioned that no one likes to feel coerced into agreement. To persuade someone, you need to lower their psychological defenses and make them willingly accept your viewpoint. To achieve this, you must convey your sincerity. We all understand this principle, but the question is, how do you make the other person feel your sincerity? You can't just say, "I'm sincere, and my advice is definitely right." That won't gain their trust. According to the authors, conveying sincerity is a skill that involves specific techniques, mainly through your speaking speed and tone. First, slow down your speech. In persuasive situations, the two parties clearly have different viewpoints. In such scenarios, adrenaline levels can rise, potentially leading to emotional agitation, often manifested by increased speech speed. If you consciously control your speech speed and clearly express your points, you can leave the other person with the impression that you are calm and in control, creating a more relaxed conversation atmosphere. In addition to speech speed, your tone is also crucial. Studies show that a lower pitch is more persuasive than a higher pitch. If you shout at someone, they will either shout back or refuse to share anything. Therefore, during critical moments in a conversation, lowering your voice can have a significant impact. After slowing your speech and lowering your tone, focus on establishing a connection with the other person. Many people take notes during interviews, but this isn't necessary. Taking notes disrupts the flow of the conversation and prevents the other person from entering instantaneous thinking. So, during conversations, ditch the notebook and fully engage face-to-face. The authors also suggest not staring directly into the other person's eyes continuously. Instead, alternate between looking at their eyes and looking elsewhere to reduce discomfort. By controlling your speech speed and tone and establishing a connection, you can convey your sincerity to the other person. But this alone is not enough to bring them into instantaneous thinking and make them open up. The key tool here is the monologue technique. Using monologues. A monologue involves you speaking without expecting a response from the other person. When should you use a monologue? When the conversation reaches a stalemate. If you notice that the other person is evasive and not answering your questions directly, continuing to press them may lead them to lie. Once they lie, it becomes challenging to get the truth from them. In such situations, you need to quickly take control and stop them from speaking, then start your monologue. How can you interrupt before they lie and take control? The authors provide 3 immediately usable techniques. Call their name. Calling someone by their name is the most effective way to get them to stop talking. It's a magical aspect of human communication Hearing their name shifts people from speaking mode to listening mode. Use a controlling phrase. Phrases like, "Please wait a moment," or "Give me a chance to finish," help you regain control of the conversation. Remember to say these phrases in a calm tone, not by raising your voice, as shouting only increases tension and confrontation. Raise your hand. This defensive, non-aggressive gesture signals visual control, similar to raising your hand to surrender in battle, indicating that the person has lost their speaking power. Once you regain control, start your monologue. The goal of a monologue is to shift the other person's focus from consequences to the present moment, guiding them into instantaneous thinking. Monologues can make it easier for the other person to accept your viewpoint and tell the truth. The process involves 4 key messages. Your actions are understandable. The responsibility is not entirely yours. I've seen this situation many times. It's not as serious as you think. To illustrate, the book includes a case where Philip interrogated an intelligence officer suspected of leaking state secrets. He told the officer, "People sometimes don't realize the negative consequences of their actions at the moment. So even if you made a mistake, it doesn't define you as a bad person. I believe you're fundamentally a good person who just made a poor decision." This monologue rationalizes the officer's actions and gives them an excuse, framing it as a momentary lapse. Even after offering a reasonable excuse, the person may not immediately confess because acknowledging wrongdoing involves taking responsibility. Therefore, you must help them shift the blame. Suggest that external factors such as societal, educational, or systemic influences played a role. In the case of the intelligence officer, Philip said, "Perhaps your foreign friends exploited your feelings, coaxing you to share confidential information. It's likely they took advantage of your kindness." This shifts the blame to external manipulation rather than the officer's intent. After rationalizing the behavior and shifting responsibility, the next step is to minimize the situation's severity. Assure them that the issue is not as dire as they imagine. Philip might say, "I know you're a perfectionist, but life isn't perfect. We can work through any issue if we address it together. It's probably not as bad as you think." Finally, let the person know their situation is not unique. Emphasize that many others have faced similar problems and found solutions. Philip might say, "I've been doing this for a long time, and situations like yours are common. There's nothing surprising or overly serious about it. Many people have been through it and resolved it." After Philip's monologue, the intelligence officer felt Philip's sincerity and genuinely wanted to help, leading him to disclose the truth. This case demonstrates that if you convey these 4 key messages in your monologue, the other person is more likely to be persuaded and open up. They need to believe that the only way to resolve the issue is by telling the truth. Part 2. Using psychological weaknesses to persuade and enhance group persuasion. In addition to using monologues and sincerity to persuade individuals, the authors discuss leveraging psychological weaknesses. 2 key principles are cognitive dissonance and commitment consistency. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance refers to the discomfort when actions and beliefs don't align. People either change their beliefs or perception of the action to reduce this discomfort. As a persuader, you can help them reconcile this dissonance to facilitate cooperation. For example, the authors describe a situation where a client hired a contractor to build a new office using a cost-plus-profit payment model, meaning the final payment depended on the total cost plus the contractor's profit. However, the final costs exceeded the client's expectations, leading to a dispute. Both parties felt the other was dishonest, creating cognitive dissonance. To resolve this, the authors used a monologue to shift the blame to external factors, suggesting errors in subcontractor or supplier invoices. This eased the tension and allowed for a resolution by recalculating costs together, demonstrating how addressing cognitive dissonance can resolve conflicts. Commitment consistency. Commitment consistency is the tendency for people to act consistently with their previous commitments. If someone has publicly made a promise, they are likely to follow through. The authors describe a case involving a lawyer needing to persuade a judge who was known for not reinterpreting laws. By reminding the judge of his previous commitment to this principle, the lawyer successfully persuaded him to rule in favor of their client without reinterpreting the law. Group persuasion. When persuading a group, it's crucial to first make them like you. This aligns with the concept of persuasion, influencing people before making a request. Establishing a positive rapport leads to information sharing and reduces resistance. During negotiations, consider these points. Be specific and concise. Clearly state your points and back them with supporting documents. Providing clear, concise information and evidence strengthens your argument and shows you are prepared. Acknowledge the other side. Show that you value their perspective. Acknowledging their viewpoints makes them feel heard and respected, increasing the likelihood of finding common ground. In summary, Get the Truth provides practical tools and techniques for enhancing persuasion by creating situations where people feel they convince themselves. It emphasizes the emotional aspects of persuasion over rational arguments and leverages psychological principles like cognitive dissonance and commitment consistency. By applying these principles and techniques, you can improve your persuasive skills in various contexts, whether in one-on-one conversations or group negotiations. The book offers valuable insights and practical advice for anyone looking to enhance their ability to persuade and influence others effectively. That's the essence of this book. You can click the description below the video to find the link to the book. Welcome to read it. You can also share this book with your friends. If you like the content of Daily Book Dive, click the subscribe button to stay updated. Your encouragement helps us continue bringing book essence to our community. Congratulations, you've finished another book.